Hello, everyone. This is the panel discussion entitled Your Choice, the Way of Working. So we will introduce the panelists. Starting with myself, I am a VP of Engineering of Merpay. I am Kimura, Hideo Kimura, and I will be serving as the moderator. So we would like each panelist to introduce themselves, starting with Kawamoto-san. I belong to the growth platform team. I'm a back-end engineer under the name of Norifumi. I am Norifumi Kawamoto, and I joined Merpay 2 years ago. And I have been working mostly prominently remotely. Next, Yamaoka-san, would you like to introduce yourself? So this is Yamaoka speaking. I started my career as an IT engineer in an independent SIer, and then moved to software development. And I developed using Go and also launching products. And I joined Merpay at the beginning of 2020, and now I develop backend. And I moved to Niigata at the end of 2020, and I am working remotely. Kawasaki-san, would you like to introduce yourself? I am Yasuhiro Kawasaki, and I am QA engineer in Merpay. And I have always been doing testing and also HR as well as payroll and accounting, and joined Merpay in October of last year. And now I work on service QA in the area of credit. When I joined Merpay, your choice was already in place. So I have always been working under your choice. I am working remotely from Osaka. Okay, thank you very much. So we will be the panelists. And during this session, we will be taking questions from the audience. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to submit your questions on YouTube chat or the Twitter hashtag #MerpayTechFest. We will now dive into the content, starting with what is your choice? I will explain about the your choice system before moving into the panel discussion. Your choice is a work style under COVID. Due to COVID, we had to change our work style. That's why we established our new normal work style entitled Your Choice. So your choice is a new work style for Mercari where the employee can choose their own work style where they can exert their full value. In short, the employees can choose whether they want to come to office or not, or work full remotely. And due to time difference, the employees are not able to work from abroad. But as long as it's within Japan, they can choose their location of work. The manager can recommend a certain work style, but at the end of the day, each individual is able to choose their own work style. That was the system. And after the Your Choice system was adopted, this is the result of a survey on where the employees work from. 56.5% of the employees have not changed their workplaces or work styles, while 43.5% of the workforce have changed or is thinking of changing their work style. How did they change there is a variety of choices, and many employees are moving or have moved to more rural areas, and others, more urban areas, and others are moving to suburban areas. And this is a result on the survey on where the employees live and work. And this is quite evenly distributed to all areas of Japan. From central Japan, Kinki, Kyushu, Hokkaido. So this is quite an even distribution. That is our work style. From here, we will have a panel discussion among employees and members who have various work styles and working from different places. The first theme is, what is your work style? But before that, in your self-introduction, you mentioned where you live and worked. And please also tell us about your region and why you chose that region. From Nori-san, I now live in Fukuoka City in Fukuoka Prefecture. Fukuoka is my hometown, so I wanted to live there. And I have lived in Tokyo for many years, and I am used to the convenience of Tokyo. So I chose the most convenient area in Fukuoka, which is Fukuoka Prefecture, which is Fukuoka City. Fukuoka City has Tenjin and Hakata, so there's quite a lot of commercial areas. So it's very easy to live in Fukuoka for me. I visited Fukuoka a number of times, and the transportation is very convenient. The airport is very close to the city center, so you can easily come to Tokyo from Fukuoka. That's right. Next, Yamaoka-san, you said you lived and worked in Niigata. Where do you live and why did you choose Niigata? I live in Chuetsu area in Niigata, and like Norifumi-san, I come from Chuetsu, and I live in my parents' house. The reason is I wanted to reduce my cost of living. And this area is very familiar to me, so it's very easier for me to stay here. And Niigata has lots of snow. I live here since elementary school, so I'm very used to snow. So that's why I chose Niigata. And also, Niigata is a home to very tasty food, such as rice and ramen, and also sake. So that's your taste of your hometown. So do you recommend any ramen from Niigata? There is a branch in Tokyo, Aoshima Shokudo, which there's a store in Akihabara, and also June, a shop called June, a restaurant called June in Kamata. So I recommend such ramen outlets. I would like to visit those restaurants. Kawasaki-san? I live in northern part of Osaka. So it's called, and this is an area called Suita. That is about half an hour from Umeda. So it's very convenient. That's where I live. The reason I chose Osaka is like the other two gentlemen. I am originally from Osaka, and I don't speak Osaka dialect, but I grew up here, and it's very close to my parents' house too. It only takes an hour to get to my parents' house, so that's why I live here. I see. It seems like all of you just went back to your hometown. So that's all of you here. I live in Tokyo. I have always lived in Tokyo. So we have Kyushu, Tohoku, Kinki, Kanto. So we have a very varied locations. So without further ado, so please tell us about your work styles.
So, how about you, Norifumi-san? So, yes, I've been doing a remote work from Fukuoka, from my home. I'm working from home. Yes, I went to Tokyo. Uh, we talked about the very convenient transportation, but actually, I went to Tokyo just once. In the beginning of quarter, there was a site meeting or a off-site event. So I participated that. But the online participation was available for that event. But when I went to the second time, there were many participants and different participants from usually. And I haven't seen many people in person before. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to meet the different people in person. So that was the first time that I went to Tokyo. So you are fully working from home and you just come to Tokyo only for some events. Yes. And when that offsite event happened, I actually, went to Tokyo one night before, and then I started very early at the offsite event. But so it was comfortable. So how long does it take from from Fukuoka to Tokyo? It's about an hour and a half flight, but you had to wait for a long time uh, to get on board. Yes, that's something about the airplane. So then, Yamaoka-san, how are you working? I work from home as well. If the pandemic subsides, then I come to the office twice or three times per month, and I use the Joetsu Shinkansen bullet train to Tokyo and Tokyo Station, and then I use the subway to go to Roppongi. And when there are some offline events, or when I wanted to change the environment to concentrate on the work, I choose to come to Tokyo. It's been about 3 hours, so I may stay overnight or I may go back, within the day. And you may think that it's a long trip, but it's not too long. But you have to spend like 6 hours for a round trip, right? Well, yeah, but I can, read a book or I can even have a drink. Of course, I can't do that twice or three times per week, but maybe just once a week, maybe possible. So you are then coming to the office quite often then? Yeah, I would say so. Since the seventh wave of the pandemic came, I haven't been to the office yet, but before I did go to office pretty often. So okay, thank you. How about Yasuhiro-san? Yes, I am working from home in Osaka. When a new member join the team, or when the team member gathers for events or something, then I go to Tokyo. So it's been about just twice to go to visit the office. It's like once every 3 months. So Yamaoka-san said he goes to the office three times per month. So compared to that, I don't go to the office so much because I'm not good at waking up early in the morning. But sometimes I want to meet my colleague in person. So Honestly speaking, I wish that I could go to the office more often. So when you come to the office, do you have to stay overnight? Yes, I go to the office in the morning, in the early morning, and then I stay the night because it's hard. It's too hard to go home and then go back to home next day. So, what is a means of a transportation from Osaka? I use Shinkansen bullet train. It's about 2 hour and a half or the 3 hours train ride. Well, then I think it's not too long for a day trip. I did the day trip once, but I thought it was too much. So then from next time, I decided to stay overnight. Yes, we have an office in Roppongi, but Roppongi is not so close from the Tokyo station, isn't it? Like you have to change the trains a lot. I mean, so that is the cumbersome part. Also, if you arrive in it at Haneda Airport, it takes even longer. So, okay, thank you very much. So basically, you're all working from home, but you come to the office with a different frequency, and when you come to the office, it's the time for the offline events or when you want to change the environment. Okay, thank you. So moving on to the next topic. What is good about current way of working? Yeah, because of your choice, you are working in the rural areas. So what is good about that? So Norifumi-san, starting with Norifumi-san. Yes, the because I live in my hometown, that is a big thing. When I was in Tokyo, I haven't had a chance to come back to Fukuoka at all, you know. So I wasn't able to see my parents. But now, since I'm here in Fukuoka, it's possible for me to have dinner with my parents. So like it's been a long time that I meet the my parents so often. So and also it's about work from home thing. Like during the break time, you can even take shower, and between the work you can do some housekeeping work. By doing the housekeeping, before I had to do all the housekeepings on weekends, but because I can use the break time for the housekeeping, so then I don't have to do that on weekend. And also besides work, it's easier to switch between off and on time. Like even though while I was in Tokyo, did remote work from home too, but I wasn't able to switch off between the on time and off time. But so now we can concentrate better. And also, I get noticed the things that I didn't notice in the meeting, and I now um, uh, I'm able to, make opinion, make opinion in the meetings better. So is that because that you went back to hometown? What is the reason why? I mean, is there any difference between Tokyo and Fukuoka? I think it's just a matter of my awareness or my mind, because I am far from the work, right? So in my mind, I separate the work from home or the work from private time more clearly. So okay, so then like you can effectively use the time, and also you can switch between the on and off better, like even within the day or the weekday versus weekends, and by doing so you can improve your concentration, so which is good. Yeah, I feel that I'm rewarded. It was worthwhile the efforts to introduce this kind of system. So, okay, how about Yamaoka-san? What is good about the current way of working? For work, there's no interruption, so I can concentrate on what I'm doing, because once my concentration breaks, it takes time for me to gain back the concentration, so I can better produce the better output, like for both documentation and coding.
And I can really concentrate and come up with concrete results in a relatively shorter time. And when I'm working from home, I can really control the air conditioning as I like. I like things when are cooler, so I tend to use the air conditioner to the maximum. So I'm able to really concentrate very well. And as Norizumi-san was saying, I can do small chores for my family and my parents. So I can help other people. And in my private life, I can engage in hobbies, which is difficult to do when I'm living in the city, such as going driving. So I'm much happier now because I can work and then enjoy hobbies. You said you have less interruptions, so it's easier for you to concentrate. If it's real communication, it's real time, but we mainly communicate over Slack. So that's asynchronous communication, and you can just disregard the Slack when you are concentrating on other things and then check the messages. If in asynchronous communications, the receiver side can control the communication to a certain extent. And in your private life, do you do circuits? Yes. Yes, I like going driving in circuits. Are there good circuits in Niigata? Yes, it's quite small, but there is a circuit called Nihonkai Japan Sea Circuit. It's smaller than famous circuits like Suzuka, but I can just go there and take a ride. It's good that you're really enjoying both your work and private life. Kawasaki-san, would you like to tell me about what's good about your current way of working? There are 2 points. The first point is to be able to work in my hometown, Osaka. These days, there are many companies who promote remote working, but there are not many companies where the employees can freely choose where to work. But our company allows me to work anywhere as long as it's in Japan, and I truly appreciate that system. My parents live in Osaka, and they always ask me, when are you coming back to Osaka? And I also wanted to go back to Osaka. And when I told them I'm coming back to Osaka, my parents were really happy. That was good. So I would like to express my appreciation to the company who created this work style system. I joined the company after this system was established. And when I was looking for jobs in Osaka, my choices were very limited. But there was this Tokyo company in Tokyo who let me join even if I lived in Osaka. So I truly appreciate that. And as for work, I don't get distracted by people around me When I concentrate, I tend to talk to myself. And people around me told me that I was talking too much when I was working. When I worked in the office, I tried to restrain myself from talking to myself, but I could not concentrate well if I remained silent. But now I work at home, so I just continuously talk to myself when I work, and I can really focus on what I'm doing. Kawasaki-san, it seems like you can now concentrate very well, and you have more time with your family. Listening to you, I do remote working from Tokyo. And one benefit of remote working is there's no commuting time. Especially for me, there are many meetings I need to attend. Reserving meeting rooms and moving from one place to another. And that was hampering me from really use time effectively. But in remote working, I can just sit in my seat all day, although that's not necessarily very good for my health. But I can talk to many people staying at my desk. So that I think is a very effective use of time. It seems like you are now in an environment where you can concentrate more, resulting in a better output, and then you have better time with your family, and maybe that is really beneficial to your work. So now that is forming a virtuous cycle. Moving on to the next topic. So are you facing any difficulties in your current work style? And I would like to share. I told you that I can hold meetings without moving from one place to another. But the other side of the coin is that I can put in so many meetings within the day. So I can hold meetings every half hour, back to back. And also, I can start meetings very early in the morning, and I end up having meetings all day. This is something that I need to do better to adjust and coordinate. So maybe I'm using my time too efficiently. Norifumi-san, by the way, are you facing any problems? Time management is something that I am really struggling about. I concentrate. That's good that I concentrate, but I concentrate too much that I tend to skip meetings, and people call me over Slack, and I don't notice. Google Calendar is not enough for me to notice, and Mac, sometimes I even miss alerts from my Mac. So I purchased a timer so that the alarm rings at the meeting starting time. So I think I am getting better gradually. Yeah, that must be difficult. And I also try to have time boxes where I can concentrate and also have breaks. So I am using the timer. I'm trying to use the timer smartly so that I don't concentrate too much. Yes, that happens to me too. I concentrate and then miss the meetings and notice after receiving a Slack message. So concentrating too much might be a problem. Yamaoka-san, are you facing any problems? In my case, when I work from home, I can do housework. So although the output is the same, I tend to work longer because I tend to interrupt myself by doing housework in between my work. And that makes it difficult for me to draw a line between my private life and work life. And in the beginning, when I first started remote working, that was a stress. And to solve this, I physically separated the space for work and private life by having different rooms. So that type of ingenuity is necessary.
And then there's not so much time for chatting with my team members. So I have to consciously create the opportunities for communication with the team members. So personally, in Niigata, nobody walks, and you drive. Everybody drives, and so therefore I put on a lot of weight. In Tokyo, I had a chance to walk, but then and when I first but in Niigata, you need to drive even just to go for shopping, and so. Well, you said that the Norifumi-san said that he is now able to switch between off and on time. But Yamaoka-san said the opposite thing. And I'm like you, Yamaoka-san. So yes, that's a difficult part. Like in the beginning of pandemic, this is my office room, but it was a storage actually. And so there was only in my living room to work, and but it wasn't a good environment because I have a dog, and my wife is also working, so I had to throw away a lot of stuff in the storage and then set up the room as an office. So it's important probably to set up the physical environment. Yes, so that's why that I made a good choice, because this house has a lot of bedrooms, so and not so many family members are living here, so therefore I was able to find the room for my office. And I often hear that you don't get to talk to your colleagues so much. Yes, we have a team building culture, so that people get together to go to lunch, but so we don't have it anymore. So I hope that we can clear that issue. But unless we meet real time, it's really difficult. Yeah, in my team, we set up the weekly meeting to just have a chatting so that we can communicate better. Okay, so Kawasaki-san, what is the problem you are facing? That my issues is similar to Yamaoka-san. For the work, it's hard to communicate with other members. We have a morning meeting and we have a one-on-one meeting for the communication. However, we are not sitting next to each other. Like if you were sitting, next to each other, then you can just, ask the person, please, oh, okay, hey, listen. And, it's just quite all natural. I mean, to find the time to chat. But now you have to set up the chat time. And so which it doesn't facilitate the much small talks, and I feel. So I'm thinking if there's any better way to facilitate the small talks and chatting. And also, I tend to stay home a lot, and so I put on like a 5 kilogram after I joined the Merpay. Right, the small talks or chatting, yes. Like you have to consciously set up the chat time, so which is not really a chatting or a small talks, right? Yeah, we have an open lunch a weekly basis in our team so that we get together But sometimes you get the another meeting assignment or something, and if you miss it once, then you won't be able to meet the colleagues another week for another week, right? For so we hope that we can solve that problem. Yeah, we have to continuously working on this probably. Our team is now that make it a habit to have a once a week chat meeting. So yes, I understand. Yes, some of the team members said that if they are living with the family, they have a chance to talk. But if you live alone, you don't get to talk to anybody at all. So they are craving for the communication with people. So this is a difficult part, and also the health is another issue. In my case, I like going to gym, but then because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to go to gym. So I I felt that I had to do something. So I bought the indoor bicycle for the exercise purpose, and it wasn't that huge and it wasn't that expensive. So I recommend you. What about the noise? Is it noisy? I probably if it's gonna be okay with your house because your house is big. Yeah, it's not that loud. You may hear some rusting noise from the wheel. So it's just both sides of the sword, I think, between the work from home and uh, working in the office, and like a communication and also the innovation. And but once the pandemic subsides, and then even though you work using your choice, I hope that we will have more chance to get together with the members. So it's about a time to end the panel discussion. And so since we are still challenged for the new way of working, and we still face some issues, and there are some problems, but generally speaking, it is going well. You can concentrate better, and you can generate a better output. That is the intention of this system. So I would like to continue this scheme. And you mentioned that in Osaka, and you were not able to work in different companies so much, but then you can work with the different peoples, and you can create the different products. And so I hope that we will continue this scheme. And lastly, please give your feedback using a survey. So this concludes the panel discussion. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.